Oliver, what the hell's going on at CBS? Canceling Stephen Colbert. He's the #1 late night talk show. By the way, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Canceling the #1 late night talk show. Not only that, Stephen Colbert was actually adding viewers, which is completely opposite of what's happening now in linear television. What gives here?
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot going on here. Let's just get this out of the way. Linear television is also obviously declining. So, you know, the advertising on the show, the revenue is bringing in was declining like every other show on television. But you can't ignore what's happening with Paramount, which is CBS's parent company. It's being merged with David Ellis and Skydance. And we've talked about this before. I think, Don, you and I have talked about the 60 Minutes ramifications, what it's going to mean for CBS News when this merger goes through. But it also is having impact on late night. And that's because I believe David Ellison and Skydance, they want to remove what they consider to be a liberal taint on, you know, at the network. And so that's going to manifest in making changes, big changes at CBS News. You're seeing some of the beginnings of that. We reported first over at Status that David Ellison was in talks to bring Barry Weiss and have her in a high-ranking position at CBS News. But also, if you wanted to eliminate the idea of CBS being liberal, Stephen Colbert is the person you have to get rid of, right? Because every single night he's going on air and he's needling Donald Trump. And Donald Trump can't stand him. Donald Trump has called for him to be fired. And we know that these you know, that Sherry Redstone, who controls Paramount, and David Ellison, they're willing to do what it takes to get their deal done. So they paid $16 million for this CBS 60 Minutes lawsuit to go away. And it wouldn't be difficult to assume or guess that maybe getting rid of Stephen Colbert might have been, you know, part of that arrangement.
Oliver. I mean, I know like the ad rates are down. I get all of that, but the timing is really weird, especially when, again, considering, I mean, couldn't they have just said, look, we are going to streamline the Colbert show, the late night?
Of course.
Yeah. Or, you know, we're going to cut back on maybe, I think Fallon did, they always did like Monday through Thursday, I believe, and Friday was on tape. It's been that way for a while. Or they would tape 2 shows on Thursday. But couldn't they have just cut it back instead of, I mean, this sends a really strong message and it's suspicious.
100%. They could have done a lot, I think. They could have worked with Stephen Colbert to cut costs. He could have taken a pay cut. There could have been a reduction in the amount of, you know, maybe he doesn't do Fridays anymore. There could have been some work done. To my understanding, that didn't happen. They just decided to eliminate the show. And what's particularly strange about this, so CBS right now is run by a man named George Cheeks. He's the co-CEO of Paramount. If you're him, think about this for a second. You know that new ownership is coming in a few weeks, right? New owners are coming in. Stephen Colbert is the most recognizable personality that you have at CBS. There's no one more recognizable than Stephen Colbert at CBS, right? You do not decide to get rid of him just a few weeks before the new owners come in. You would hold on to that. You would say, wait a second, let's just wait and see what the new owners want to do, right? We don't want to do this without their approval. Like, it's like, as some would say, maybe it's like painting a house red right before you hand the keys over to the new owner. You don't do that unless the new owner wants the house red. And so I think it's very clear that the new ownership wanted this done, and they probably wanted some, you know, they didn't want to make the move themselves because it's not a good move to make. It looks very bad. And so what do? You have the current leadership at Paramount make the move. Then they can say their hands are wiped clean. We don't have control of the company. We haven't even taken over yet, right? And I think that's pretty clearly what's going on. I do not for one second believe they canceled Stephen Colbert for a purely financial decision. In fact, last week, Don, in our status newsletter, we reported that Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart were on thin ice because of politics. And at the time, I wrote that what they will likely do is get rid of the show and cite financial decisions. And those financial decisions, to some extent, they are legitimate. Like, these shows are declining as linear television goes down, but that's not the real driving force behind getting rid of Stephen Colbert.
You talked about this in your podcast. I just put it up. You wrote about it in your newsletter, which I read, but also you talked about it on your podcast, right? and it's called Power Lines. Is that right? The episode
Power
2?
Lines, yes. And we actually talk about it. We right before we came on, Don, we uploaded the second episode and we discussed this as well. So if your viewers are interested, Power Lines is what the show's called.
Yeah, and I think that if you guys, producers, if you can get it up, because I just sent it to you guys, and just because I want to show them, just you don't have to put the sound up, but because Oliver does such great work. And just out of the blue, I texted Oliver. Tim and I were sitting around talking about. I won't mention there are other industry sites that people used to read all the time religiously, and now it's just like, except for Oliver. I mean, Oliver, you're doing a great job, and I think that the reason that Status is doing so well is because you are really doing what people want now, and that is without fear or favor. You're reporting on what's happened.
I think, Don, that's been the mission from day one. There are so many sites out there, so many podcasts out there that claim they're giving the behind-the-scenes info, that claim they're unfiltered, that they're saying what everyone's thinking but too afraid to say out loud. We actually do it. And I think that's why it's resonated. And I think that's frankly why people come to us with information, because they know that we're not going to water it down, and they know we're going to report it out, and we're going to get the information out there. And so, that's why, again, last week we had this report on Colbert on being on thin ice. We were the first ones with that. We're the only ones at the time with that. And, that's because we, just say had some good speculation, good informed idea of what was happening there. So
well, let's see. I haven't even heard it. Let's listen to it a little bit, Andy. You can put it up and put the sound up. Let's see if we can hear it a little bit. This is a new Power Lines. This is the podcast that Oliver has, and he's talking about Trump, which is pertinent, and CBS. Roll it.
Stephen Colbert addressed a report on air earlier this week, and I think he referred to us as TV bloggers typing. It's pretty clear that we're not TV bloggers just typing away here.
No, we're TV podcasters. Get it right.
Kind of weird that all these other outlets are just ignoring our reporting. We had reported this in Status, and it's very strange, I think, seeing a lot of these mainstream outlets pretend as if our reporting does not exist.
Don't worry, Darcy. I see you. I know you're there.
Oliver, I love it. And you're
you,
right, because many times here, and I tell you all the time, many times here in streaming, it feels like we're in a silo, right? We break stuff, we have great guests, but these for some reason, and maybe maybe what happened with Trump and Epstein is breaking the MAGA spell, I believe. But maybe this Colbert thing, which is huge, will break the mainstream media's spell to stop being so navel-gazy and just reporting on themselves and the people who are in linear, when folks like us who are on YouTube, folks like us who are in streaming, it has surpassed linear television viewing. And perhaps it's time for them to figure out that they need to do it a different way. And they need to come on over to where we're having the real conversations. Am I wrong? Am I just being too patting ourselves on the back?
I think that there's a big hesitancy from a lot of organizations to look at new media in a serious way, right? It's just kind of like viewed as a fun thing they're doing. Oh, it might work. They might make some money or whatever, but it's not viewed in a serious way. And the reason I had made those comments, Don, is because we have, I think, repeatedly beat these mainstream outlets to a lot of stories by either days, weeks, or months, even at times. And they are so hesitant to offer any credit. And, we link to them all the time in our newsletter. We credit them all the time. And I noticed yesterday, again, we had reported that Colbert was on thin ice with Jon Stewart, who I believe will also be ousted from Paramount. Last week, they addressed our report on their shows, like this week. And it was really interesting seeing the creative writing in some of these news organizations and their stories, where they said that these hosts were addressing online speculation or things, questions about whether they would be okay. And I'm like, well, what was the thing that started, that online speculation, or this didn't just happen out of thin air? And I just think that these organizations they do not like crediting new media, and that's unfortunate. And I think they should really view it with a little more of a,
it's very interesting. I know I can hear it's dripping with, I don't know if it's sarcasm or I'm not the word, when I hear folks saying, and these online, these bloggers, these podcasters, and you're like, oh my God, really? But you know what? We were once those people.
Well, by the way,
but it was a different
a lot of
time
these
then,
people
yeah.
want to be in this space, right?
Yeah.
They're moving in this space. They're doing their best too. And in some cases it's working. In other cases, I think it's a little too stiff and they're still not really adapting quite to the platform. But at the same time, they also poo-poo it, which is it's a strange dynamic there.
Yeah. As soon as I heard the news, though, and I had seen what you were saying, what did he say? By the way, I didn't see what he said. Did they shoot it down, the reporting from you before?
No. Colbert addressed it and made a few jokes about how could they fire Stephen Colbert when he has this new mustache and he looks a little different.
Yeah.
And
Do you think he
Jon
knew
Stewart,
then?
what was that?
Do you think he knew then?
No, I do not believe he knew. I think that our reporting caught them off guard. I don't think he had any idea. And in fact, last night when he said he was delivered the news to the audience that he was being canceled, he said he had learned about it the night before. So that seems to be when they told him. And I do wonder if they actually told him this because our reporting had, maybe generated a little bit of need to move fast.
Wow.
I don't know.
CBS canceling late night show with Stephen Colbert. After next season, when I got this, you know what I thought? And look, I'm not, because when I was in linear, people would predict it all the time. I'm like, no, you guys. I said linear is dead. And then someone said, yes, but this is also payback for, or part of the deal, I should say, for CBS and Paramount. And I said, but I can't imagine being a media executive right now, especially in this position. And I know them, but I would just feel like, man, we have no integrity right now. I just have to do what the corporation says, and journalistically or whatever, it doesn't matter anymore. I don't know.
I mean, I think Stephen Colbert is going to be better off, by the way. I bet he's going to get a better deal out of this whole thing. I don't know if Netflix is going to go after him. But I do think the one to watch now is Jon Stewart. And if you're Jon Stewart, you're probably looking around and thinking, my contract's up in December, but it's not looking so good.
You think it's over do you think they're going to get rid of the Daily Show?
I can't imagine. I actually, again, we had some good intel on this. I was thinking that Jon Stewart would be the first domino to fall because it's actually easier to get rid of him because his contract already is expiring in December and Comedy Central is not as important of an asset as CBS. And Stephen Colbert has a very large audience. He's the #1 rated late night comedian. And so I assume that Stewart would be the first to fall, not Colbert. But I can't imagine a world in which they're getting rid of Colbert and they're not going to also, throw Jon Stewart to the curb, especially because Comedy Central, I mean, that network, it's sort of, on its last legs.
People want to know then what happens next, right? They're thinking, oh, what does this mean? Because, you still got other folks out there. Obviously, you have the Daily Show. I watched the Daily Show, is it still on? It's on at 11, right?
It's on. Yeah, it's on. Jon Stewart does one night a week, and then it's a rotating cast of hosts. So like Jordan Klepper and others will do the other nights.
Yeah. And then people will wonder what happens now to Kimmel. And by the way, Jimmy Kimmel's responding. Host Jimmy Kimmel shared Colbert's video on Instagram and added, "Love you, Stephen. F you all. F you and all your Sheldons, CBS." Okay. So what happens to Fallon and Kimmel? What does this portend to them? For them?
I'm not sure. I mean, there's a lot going on here because the economics are obviously collapsing for linear television. So I think just naturally you're going to see big names continue to leave, shows continue to get canceled, and that's going to just happen until linear television doesn't exist anymore, right?
Wow.
At the same time, I also believe that this Colbert thing, while disguised as a financial decision, was really more a political decision. So I'm not sure what it means for Kimmel. I had a hard time thinking Disney's going to get rid of Kimmel. He's also arguably the most recognizable personality on ABC, and he hosts a wide range of things from award shows to his late night program. So hard to see that happening, but we're in unprecedented territory as well. I do think Disney's in a different situation than CBS and Paramount. So that's why I think Jon Stewart's really the one to watch right now and see what happens with him.
Thank you, Oliver Darcy. editor, chief editor, writer, creator, scoop getter.
Wear a lot
for
of
status.
hats over here, Don. You have to wear hats, a lot of them, when you're on your own and independent. I'm sure you do too.
Tell us how we get your stuff and where we get, because I've kept you way too long. I know you had an 11 o'clock appointment. I'm sorry.
No worries. No worries at all. Go to status.news, sign up for our newsletter there. And then we're also, our new podcast is on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. It's called Power Lines. Please subscribe.
Put it up, please, Andy.
Give us a like.
There's status right there.
Yeah.
There's status right there. Status.news. And then check out Power Lines that we just played. I'm telling you guys, I've been doing this for a long time. I've read lots of newsletter and all the industry stuff. Oliver Darcy is the best. Now, I don't know about this John Pasantino guy. I'm kidding.
John is great too. We got to get John on this show as well.
Let's get him. Don. Let's do it. I would love to. 100%.
Right, maybe next week.
Thank you, sir. I'll see you soon. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Say hi to John. Okay. Thank you. Anyway, that's Oliver Darcy over at status.news. And also check out Power Lines, the podcast. Let's put this up. I think we have Stephen Colbert announcing. I just want to show it so you guys can see just a little bit of the report from this was on the Today Show, I believe, this morning. Here it is.
I want to let you know something that I found out just last night. Next year will be our last season.
Stephen Colbert's announcement sending shockwaves through the television world.
It's not just the end of our show, but it's the end of the Late Show on CBS. I'm not being replaced. This is all just going away.
It's a major shift in the late night landscape and for the famous host. Colbert got his start on Comedy Central's The Daily Show and later won fans on the satirical Colbert Report before taking over the network's seat from David Letterman. And with the end of The Late Show, the end of an era.
It's The Late Show with David Letterman.
It debuted in 1993 with David Letterman at the storied Ed Sullivan Theater.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the show. My name is Dave.
Letterman hosted for more than 2 decades, sparking an intense late-night rivalry with The Tonight Show's Jay Leno and creating a string of iconic moments, from headline-grabbing celebrity interviews.
It's my birthday. You made it. Gosh, it was fun.
To musical performances, to his famous top 10 lists.
The category, top 10 things never before said on The Sopranos.
After a long run, Letterman retired in 2015. Colbert moving into the spotlight, making his own mark with interviews, performances, and his signature political commentary.
But everybody I talk to is talking about what Donald Trump doesn't want to talk about. So, so let's talk about it.
All right, so there we go.
Overall decline.
All right, so there we go. So she was going to say, despite an overall decline in linear, pick it up. I want you to hear this part because it's really important. Sorry, I cut you off.
In late night ratings, Colbert had the #1 show for 9 straight seasons.
There's nobody bigger on CBS than Stephen Colbert right now, literally dropping their biggest star.
CBS executives saying in a statement, this is purely a financial decision against a challenging backdrop in late night. It is not related in any way to the show's performance, content, or other matters happening at Paramount.
Okay,
Colbert recently criticizing the 16.
So he said it was, I don't know what he called it, a bribery or something. I forget what he said. But here's the thing. Oliver Darcy brings up a very good point. You don't just, when someone else is taking over a new company, just say, I'm going to get rid of you. Wait for the new guys, right? You wait for the new guys. And then there's just something that's just a bit, the timing is just really off. I'm just going to be honest. And you don't have the upfronts where they do the upfronts and they tout people and they say, this is what we have the #1 talk show. And so you should buy into our advertising and you should watch CBS and you should do this. Colbert. And then all of a sudden you cancel it. So look, I want you to guys to let this sink in, because Stephen Colbert was, and I don't always agree with everything that's on, so that's besides the point. But he's one of the most biting, intelligent voices in late night television. And so why did this happen? You guys know why. I don't believe that it's about ratings or contracts. I think it was a quiet purge of the voices who were like challenging MAGA narrative. And they refused to bow to Donald Trump. That's what I think this is all about. I mean, look, when I was fired, they said They never told me that. They told my colleagues that, oh, this is just business. I don't know. I have no idea why. They say it was a business or tone or whatever it is. And then when Joy Reid is attacked, they say it's about ratings. But even though Joy Reid's ratings were high and not so much anymore. So whenever Colbert is canceled, it's the same thing. They say this is business. It's a network decision. Come on, y'all. What we are witnessing right now in the entertainment industry is just like the corporate America and even some corners of the press. They're bending the knee to a man who tried to overturn the election, who called free press the enemy of the people, and on and on and on. And they see truth as optional. So no matter what, like, that's why I say don't ever believe everything that you read, especially everything that's put out there in the press, because it is not necessarily the truth. The networks are able to put out there the narrative that they want. The networks are out there to put out a narrative that they want. And they call all of the people they know, all of the reporters, and they try to shape the story, and they tell you whatever, and they call, they call the press and all of the big news organizations before you even know what's happening behind the scenes. Before Stephen didn't know, according to Oliver. They didn't think that he knew. Stephen had no idea. I'm sure Joy had no idea. I had no idea. And then they call the people before, and they tell them the story that they want to put out. And then that's what everybody believes. And that's what gets, I'm telling you guys, it is a racket. And it's shameful. Like, it's shameful even for some of the people I know and respect that they are doing this right now. It's unbelievable. How many billions of dollars do you need? So you have, let's see, Charles is gone from the New York Times. Joy is gone from MSNBC. I'm gone from CNN. Stephen Colbert is gone from late night. Jon Stewart is on the rocks. And the folks that you see now, and then there are others. Katie Fang is gone. Jim Acosta is gone. And these weren't people, when I say these aren't anti-Trump people. I don't believe any of these people are anti-Trump. I think these people were anti-truth and journalism. And I think they were pro-truth, journalism, integrity, and democracy. And so perhaps that put them in the realm of being anti-Trump, because Trump is not about any of those things. Trump is about himself. Trump lies all the time. Trump is about insurrections. Trump is about grifting. Trump is about criminality. Remember, he's convicted. And so, you guys, people were so like caught off guard when it happened to me, because I was sort of the canary in the coal mine, and that they built up all of this shit around it to try to make you believe that, oh my God, Don is this and he's that, and he's difficult and he's all that. It was all bullshit. This is a business decision, because they want their views, the corporation, they want their views elevated and profiled, and they don't want people negating something that they want to be they want their reality to be your reality. And you see it even now, if you look at the magazine. Sometimes I read New York Magazine and I'm like, what's happened to New York Magazine? New York Magazine now, when I read it, I feel like I should be a 20 or 30-something-year-old white girl living in the Village in New York. Otherwise, I just don't relate. I'm like, what is this magazine even about? That's just one. Like, so I don't even watch cable because I can't relate. Tim and I we were turned on the morning shows. It's like, oh, let's see what happens. We were flipping through. We're like, my God, this feels so old. Like, just the format is so old and it's so staid and it was so boring. And then we were watching, and finally, one of the morning shows we were watching, I just won't say. And then we were like, God, this is just so vanilla, bland, and anodyne. And then Simone Sanders popped up, and there was energy. It's like, oh, wow, at least she is interesting. She has something to say. They're getting rid of all of the talented people who you want to watch, whether you like them or not. They're getting rid of all of the people who are interesting, who are talented, who for some reason, you don't know what it is, they call it je ne sais quoi, whatever, that you want to watch them. I don't know anybody on any channel now that I am dying to go watch at a certain hour every night. I mean, just a person. I mean, obviously Rachel still has that, but she's not even on every night. There's no one, folks used to say, oh my God, I would set my VCR for you and Chris every night. And then now I don't anymore. And I get it. And then people who didn't even like us or agreed with us, but they knew there was some authenticity there. And there was something that was interesting about the people who were delivering the information. And now there's nothing interesting. I don't find someone who has a nice haircut interesting. I'm sorry. I don't find someone who wears 3-inch false eyelashes interesting. I just don't. I don't find someone who has a head full of synthetic hair interesting. I just don't. I love that Simone Sanders has the guts to be bald and beautiful on television. I don't get it. And then you keep saying, well, it's because people are tuning out because people are cutting the cord. Yes, that's true. But it's also because you're not doing anything that's interesting or authentic. You're still doing the same format that you've been doing since the advent of news, cable, and broadcast. And you're also bowing to someone who's not even a good person, who doesn't even believe in America and democracy and all the things that we're supposed to be about. He doesn't even believe in that. Someone who is a criminal, someone who is an adjudicated abuser of women. Like, and all because of what? Money or fear? I don't get it. We're supposed to be the bulwark of truth and integrity and information for the people, at least journalists and people who are delivering the information. And instead, they've become, it's like what the morning shows are about now. It's about selling something, a dream, something that's aspirational rather than what is reality. Well, now if I do happen to turn it on or walk by on the airplane or I'm flipping through on the airplane or whatever it is, and I look, everybody's selling a book, everybody's selling a movie, everybody's selling something. Everybody has a thing that they're selling. That's not what it's supposed to be about. How about like what is actually happening? I couldn't wait when I was like first starting out to turn on the Today Show. Those first freaking 20 minutes, I was like, damn, look at that. Boom, 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 boom. Now I'm old. This was like Jane Pauley and Bryant Gumbel. And then it was Bryant and Katie. And then it was Matt and Katie. And then it was like, I couldn't wait to turn on the Today Show to get it. Boom. You got it. And they would be fighting with the senator and the president and holding them to account. And they weren't afraid of what the people upstairs were going to say if they were going to be fired, because they knew that was their mission as journalists. Oh, and then we get to the back end. All right, we're going to sell. And they came up with the concerts. All right, whatever. That's not my thing, but I get it. That the people want that. But at least there was news in an interesting way with people who were interesting. When Katie would burp, I'd laugh. Right? Or when she would, get a colonoscopy, it was like, that's real. I worked with her husband. I was like, this is all real. Like it was authentic. And it wasn't just someone with a face full of makeup and a lot of hair product and jewelry. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a rant, but I can't stand it anymore. I cannot stand it anymore. Anywho, those were the days, and you knew when you were then. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you joined us. I'm sorry that I went off on a tangent this morning, but it's just so annoys me. And look, I'm not even like that friendly or big. Like I've been on Stephen Colbert's show. I was on the Colbert Report a while back. Look it up. It's on the internet. I was on CNN and I interviewed someone who was a vampire. And the Colbert Report from Comedy Central called me up and asked me to be on Stephen's show. And it was just really great. So I got to go on. And then I have been on the Late Night with Stephen Colbert a couple times. And it's funny. It was a great show. He's really, really He can be really funny. And then also, but really territorial too as well. And I've been on Kimmel. Kimmel is great. Kimmel is one of the hosts that it's for Kimmel, it's about making the guest look as presenting them in the best light as possible so that they can shine. It was not competitive. It was just like, hey, great. So Kimmel was really great at that. Who's the other one? And Fallon. Oh my God, same thing with Fallon. I've been on Fallon's show. Jimmy is great. And if he can do a skit with you or something that's funny or go on a little rant or a riff with you, he will do that. He's the same way. And so Fallon is amazing and fantastic. And then it's been a bunch of them. I've been on Chelsea Handler. She had a late night talk show, and everyone. Seth Meyers. Seth is great as well and I've been on Conan. Conan is brilliant. All those guys. Those days are gone. They're coming to an end. Looks like everybody's going to have to go kind of the way that Howard Stern did. And Howard went over to Sirius Satellite Radio. And now everyone, welcome to YouTube, everybody, or Netflix or streaming. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.